Hello, everyone, and welcome to the very last episode of Back to the Blockbuster for the year. I know I kind of set that up as like the last episode ever
for the year.
we just started, and we realized that we don't want to do this.
Just the last one this year.
Just the last one this year. My name is Gaius Bowling, of course, and I'm joined with my two buddies. Want to introduce themselves again?
What's up, guys? I'm Owen. Not asleep this time. Still awake and ready to go. Enjoying myself a nice cold beer after the long Monday. It was a long weekend of moving. I want to thank Gaius for helping me out a little bit too, but ready to talk about the year in review and can't wait to say some of my favorites and definitely some of the ones that I would not recommend. So let's get into it.
Hey guys, Brittany is back with her hot takes as always. And this time I have a glass of wine with me because it's the holidays.
Nice.
Why not? Normally we go through the whole like, well, what'd you do this weekend? But we were all together for parts of it.
Mm-hmm.
It was Christmas, of course, and I spent a little bit of it with my family, but now there's like a 2-year tradition that it's like almost like a little orphan Christmas.
Don't tell anyone the secret, Gaius.
Well, I'm sorry if there's any orphans from Hermosa Beach that are excluded from Brittany's party Christmas.
No one is excluded. Everyone is welcome. Open door policy.
Yeah, we started last year and it was fun. We did it again this year. It was also very fun. The kind of proof that your family is not all about blood. It's the friend, like the family you make through your friends. So it was a fun little gathering on Saturday, and some good times were had. We played some games. Yeah. We won't talk about what was said during those games because some of it was pretty raunchy but funny. But we had a good time.
I tried to block that part out.
But we had a good time and it was good. And I hope everyone else had a very Merry Christmas and Happy Holiday over the weekend. So this week is going to be a little different. We're not talking about news. No pop culture, no hot topics. It's all about basically the year in review, like just talking about things in the industry that either like things that happened in the industry this year, whether there's certain movies that stood out, certain just stories from the year that stood out that you think kind of impacted the year. And then by the end, we're going to talk about what we're looking forward to in 2022, whether that is from movies or television. It's going to be like a little free for all kind of thing. Like, I don't know who really wants to kind of start and we can kind of piggyback off each other, but I have some things on my side and I'm sure you guys have some on yours, so we can get it started.
Yes, you want to go first?
Yeah. So I wanted to talk a little bit about this story actually started in late 2020, but it impacted 2021, and that was Warner Brothers' decision to go day and date with all their releases in 2021. So that means that it hit the HBO Max streaming service the same day that it was released in theaters. At the time in late 2020, it pissed off a lot of directors who were like, we don't make our movies for a streaming service, it's for the theatrical experience. And behind the scenes they had to rework a lot of deals on that front because box office revenue is completely different from whatever you make on streaming. And since most people are, or most of the platforms are very secretive about what their numbers are, it's hard to tell what's making money on that. A lot of people said that they don't think the move was really all that successful, even though there were some exceptions, like Godzilla vs. Kong did well on the service and in theaters. Mortal Kombat, same thing. I would say Dune is in there, but I think they left some money on the table with that. I think it could have done even better if it wasn't on HBO Max. But then there are other examples like the Suicide Squad, which is like $180 million to make, and it didn't make that money, near that money in theaters. And even some of its streaming numbers that third-party apps got, I don't think they can justify the financials that they put into it based on the return that they got from the streaming side and losing some of that money on the theatrical side.
Yeah.
I want to ask you guys, do you think overall it was the right thing for them to do, considering they were unsure at the end of 2020 where movie theaters would be in 2021? This is the reason why they decided to do this. Was it successful overall? Should they have just winged it and just gone theatrical and risked it? I don't know. What are you guys' take on that?
Yeah, I think that it's definitely a move that I very much enjoy. I think that there's a lot of times where I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to go out to the theater. It's really convenient for me to be able to put on a movie at the end of the day after a long day, or just at the end of the night on a weekend, without necessarily going out and doing something. But after seeing Dune in theaters over Thanksgiving, it's just a whole different experience after seeing it in the theater and on HBO Max first. So I think when it comes to terms of money, shitty thing I think about it, because there, I mean, as you see now, you see a lot of commercials and trailers that say only in theaters.
Yeah.
And so
I think that
then
point.
it might not be on a streaming service for another 7 months or a year or something like that. But I think there are a lot of different movies that are coming out exclusively on streaming services like The Power of the Dog on Netflix, and a lot of like Netflix originals or HBO Max originals. So I think that there's pros and cons to both, but in general, after seeing something in the theater, the movies just are so much more enjoyable when you're actually sitting in the theater, which a lot of people haven't gotten to do for the last couple of years. So I think that they're going to start to go back, especially after seeing a movie make over $1 billion. I know it was sort of a very singular thing that doesn't happen very often, but to see that happen in the pandemic era, we're going to see a lot of exclusively in theaters come back and streaming services back off, I think.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think growing up, one of my favorite things to do was go to the movies. So I think that really took a toll this past year, or I guess in 2020 as well. Not going to the theater. I think there's a different aspect that you get, a different perspective that you get from watching a movie in a theater. And I think it was Tom Hanks that said like something about like being lonely in a theater is okay. Like that's where everyone goes to be alone. And I don't know, I butchered that quote, but
Close enough.
something along the lines of like, that's why I go to movies alone, because it doesn't feel like you're alone in the movie theater. And that's like, you're not looking at your phone. I mean, I just saw a couple movies this past weekend in theaters, and I didn't have a chance to look at my phone during it. I wasn't distracted. I was fully in it. And when you're watching a movie at home, unfortunately, like you have that ability to pause it, to go to the bathroom. Like when you're in a movie theater and you have to pee, you have to run out and like pee as fast as you can and then run back. It's like
The
a different
dash.
dynamic, you know?
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, I guess the money part for them, right, is it's going to come down to like, did it really work financially for Warner Brothers to do it? I think with some of their movies that skewed like older, like they talked about like the Many Saints of Newark didn't do well in theaters for them, but it did very well on HBO Max, according to them. Like, and it also drove more views to people watching The Sopranos, like binging that in preparation for the movie. So like, when low box office numbers came out for them, they always kind of justify, well, like the numbers we're seeing, even though they're not sharing them with us, indicate that this model kind of works. Now, I wouldn't say that that's the same for something like The Matrix Resurrections, which was the last movie of theirs to do that kind of release pattern this year. You guys probably saw that it opened not all that, it opened below expectations, and part of the reason a lot of people think is because of the HBO Max availability, and not just like being available on HBO Max where people are subscribing to it. Like if anyone could easily rip a pristine copy of it and then pirate it on other sites. So now like a bunch of people are downloading the movie and watching it for free at home. So
Yeah.
I think that does affect box office. I know like Disney Plus played with like, the idea of like the premium thing with Cruella and Black Widow, like, offering it for a certain amount of money on the service. And
That was such bullshit.
yeah,
I'm sorry for Disney.
I'm going to
out
go
of all,
with another story too, because it
for
connects.
Disney, out of all streaming services, to have an upcharge to see a movie, like that's for kids. Like these parents are already struggling this past year all day long with their kids at home, and it's like this movie comes out and then all the kids want to do is see this movie, and oh, it's another charge. Like so many people lost their jobs. Like people can't afford that extra premium charge. Like I just think it's ridiculous.
And
Disney
I
can
think it's
afford to
annoying.
donate a movie to their streaming service.
I agree. I think it's annoying too. It's not just like, oh, it's on demand for $7. It's like $38 or $40 to get the movie. That's more expensive than it would be to take your family to go to the theater.
Exactly.
Right. And it only, and like Disney's release model for that only makes sense if you are okay financially with spending that money, right? So if you have a family of 7 or so at home, you can't go to the movies. It does make sense for you to like to buy that film on the streaming service and be able to watch it as much as you want at your house with your family, because it's cheaper in the end than buying individual movie tickets. But that's not true for everyone.
Mhm.
You know,
And I don't think this was like you can watch it whenever you want. I think it
Oh,
was
you
like a
can keep
3-day
it.
rental
Yeah,
or
Okay,
something
yeah,
like
yeah.
that.
well, also, I think it was only on Disney Plus for whatever it was, a month and a half.
Hmm.
So even if you
Yeah,
missed it, you missed the window, then you can't come and see it again.
right.
Right.
So Warner Brothers is not doing this again this year. They're it's going to be theatrical releases only, but they are kind of the theatrical window. They're kind of shortening it a little bit. Like they just said, like the Batman today, it will be on HBO Max 45 days after it opens in theaters.
Okay.
So
I
that
think
that can work.
that's a good window.
Yeah, that's pretty good. That's enough time for it to make whatever money it's gonna make. And then of course Disney didn't do it with all their movies, right? Like Shang-Chi, they released exclusively in theaters and let it have like a 40-something day window, and then they put it on Disney Plus.
Mhm.
They kind of play fast and loose with that, depending on the movie.
Yeah, they did Black Widow dirty for
They did
that.
Black Widow dirty. That's something I'll talk about after you guys give one of your takes. But like, yeah, it was. When I first heard the Warner Brothers thing, I thought it was. I guess for me, I thought it was a cool idea because I was like, well, if I don't want to see one of their releases in the theater, I just watch it at home. Like certain movies aren't made to be seen on the big screen all the time. I think that's what we learned the most in 2020 and this year, that we don't need to see everything in theaters. But I did think with some of their bigger releases, I was like, they're going to potentially lose a lot of money.
Mhm.
Like on something like The Matrix or Dune. Like Dune ended up doing well, like worldwide, right? Globally, it made a lot of money. But
Yeah.
you know, I'm pretty sure it could have tacked on 30, maybe 40 million more in the States if it was just a theatrical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think The Matrix is a different one too because it's got the nostalgia piece to it.
Right.
So I think that one is a very specific crowd that, I mean, when did the first one come out? In the early 90s?
That came out in 99. So it's
Oh, late 90s. Okay. So I think that, I mean, I think a lot of the younger generation might not necessarily be like, oh, I can't wait to see the new Matrix unless they were like had been growing up seeing it or something like that.
right. There could be a lot of reasons why that didn't do well, right? That the HBO Max could be one factor, and then there's a bunch of other. The quality of the movie might not be that great. But I know Deadline was like the first to kind of point out that like they believe the HBO Max factor is, and they pointed that out with a lot of their releases that didn't open as well. They did it with Suicide Squad.
Mhm.
Like the Suicide Squad had great reviews, and people that were into that loved it on social media. It just didn't break through to everyone, and I know a lot of people that did watch it on HBO Max, and it was like,
I liked it a lot.
I think a couple of its weeks, it was the most pirated movie online when it was first made available. So like that's the
Top
drawback.
pirated on LimeWire.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the
Pirate
drawback
Bay.
now. When you have like a clear copy of a movie available, you're not.
It's not like a shifty like
yeah.
yeah, like in the theater, kind of like hiding. It's so funny. I had a friend I used to work in a movie theater, my first job. And if you caught someone recording a film, then you would automatically get a $1,000 check. They would basically trying to get you to make sure that they're not pirating movies or filming anything. And my friend caught a guy one time, and so he got $1,000 cash there that day because he caught someone and they arrested the guy or whatever it is. Like they took it very seriously. But it's crazy now, especially with, like you were saying, Gayus, if it's on a platform, you can get a very, very good copy digital version of it immediately. And so the second it comes out on HBO, you can just throw it online and anyone can see it.
Yep. So
This is so funny that we're talking about this because I just had to do a security like test thing for work today. And like that was one of the things. It was like, what if your
Have you-
friend asks to see a movie that's not released yet? Like,
You say no.
yeah, that was like part of the test.
yeah, I mean,
If you hit yes, you just automatically get fired.
Yeah. Oops.
Oops.
you my virtual office so I can let you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. What about you guys? Is there something that you guys want to throw out there to discuss?
I think that I would love to talk about a lot of the series that came out this year. I think there were a lot of really good TV series that came out. I was actually looking back and doing a little bit of my homework today and looking back on all the 2021 movies, and there were some that I really expected to be good, but I didn't enjoy as much as I thought. Like, I think so. The
Are
one
you
that
gonna say White Lotus?
I'm not gonna say White Lotus.
Oh, okay.
I actually this one really stood out to me was Reminiscence with Hugh Jackman. I was
That was an HBO
very
Max too.
I was very intrigued by the I liked because the trailer was very vague and didn't really give away a lot, and so I was kind of I really wanted to see what it was going to be like, and I love Hugh Jackman, and sort of like the dystopian future always interests me just to see how they play it and what kind of things that they're going to play around with. It was one of the worst movies I've ever seen, and I literally would never watch it again. I have told many people to not even try and watch it.
Burn it.
I really thought that it was just horrible. The story was bad. It just made no sense. It wasn't like enjoyable to watch. It was slow at some points, and then other parts just rushed ahead. It just made no sense to me. And so I think that this year was really good for a lot of series. I want to throw out Invincible on Amazon Prime. The Witcher season 2 was really good. There was just a lot of things that I enjoyed watching a lot of TV series more than I think I did watching new movies that came out this year.
I agree with that. I was gonna say the exact same thing. I found a lot of the shows that came out this year were like so well done. They were so cinematically well done. Like the first thing that comes to mind is Made, because I just recently binged that within the past month. That show was so well done. Every episode felt like I was watching a movie. It was building up intensity, and it's baby, which also added to that. And Margaret Qualley is beautiful in the movie. She's an incredible actress. She's so young. Her mom is playing her mom in the movie, Annie McDowell. It was just an incredible series to watch if you haven't yet. I think that's gonna live on to be a really they could have made a movie. And this is kind of what we were saying last week, where like some of these movies could be shows where they dive into characters a little bit more. And I think if Made had been a movie, it wouldn't have had nearly enough depth to the characters. Right. And I think it being a series really added. I mean, it was only 10 episodes. It was a limited series. So they really got to dive into like each character, and you got to know every single character in a special way.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. I think that if it had been a movie, people would have watched it, maybe would have liked it. And then what, are you going to go see a sequel to it? Probably
Right.
not. Now people are excited for if they make another series that are similar to it, or a next spinoff or something. So
yeah,
having that excitement for another 10 episodes rather than just a sequel that just put a 2 in front of the name or behind or after the name, that's not really going to get me to go see it.
Right.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree too. I think that I don't know if this was like I don't really know when all these shows were in development, right? I don't know if they were in development last year, or if it's just a coincidence that a lot of these shows end up benefiting from feeling more cinematic than like normal TV shows actually would. I know that having a lot of people at home more, like last year and even some of this year, gives those shows the opportunity to like really break out. We talk about the Marvel stuff, but I mean, like that, a lot of their shows broke out in all of 21. They released all of them in 2021, and
WandaVision was the best one, I think, by far.
Yeah, I love WandaVision.
That was the first one that they did.
Yeah,
I'd say WandaVision was probably that, and Squid Games were probably the top 2 series of the year.
Yeah.
Squid Game was the biggest. It's certainly Netflix's biggest show ever. They said that
Bridgerton, right? It wasn't Bridgerton the original.
Bridgerton, yeah. And that's so funny because Bridgerton was.
Do I need to rewatch Bridgerton?
I guess I will.
Well,
yes, so.
Because like Bridgerton was like the pandemic show of like 2020, like towards the end, like people were binging that, and then like Squid Game kind of took over this year in a huge way and is making a ton of money for Netflix, as if they need more.
What do you think the appeal of that was for this? Because I think I know that once Parasite was nominated for Best Picture, and I think it won, right?
Yeah, it was.
Mhm.
I know a lot of people went to go see it, but historically in the US, those foreign shows that are dubbed or not dubbed, they're just subtitles, they don't really do that well.
Right.
Especially over here. I think there was one show that I used to watch that was an Italian version of sort of The Sopranos, and that was really good, but I only got through like a season, and then I thought, you know, I need some English because I'm tired of reading subtitles. But
I think people were watching it just because, apologize because I'm probably talking offhand, but I think people were watching it because other people were watching it.
mm,
Like
Yeah,
I got a lot of FOMO because I didn't see it, but I also didn't have time to watch it when everyone was talking about it, and then it faded out. So I still haven't watched it. I do want to eventually, but
it's really
people aren't
good. I
talking
mean,
about it anymore nearly as much as they were talking about it before. So
fun. It's got humor, but it's dark comedy. And it has that fight or flight sense to it that it's basically the Hunger Games if it was real.
well, I think you just described why people are watching it.
Yeah. Yeah. But I was just wondering if like there are a lot of those shows that are out there that are foreign, but I wonder why this one specifically started to do well. I mean, maybe it was just because it was sort of a phenomenon.
yeah.
It really hit those pressure points that people want to see, had a little bit of violence, a little bit of blood.
Well, I think
Maybe
that has a
was
lot to do with it too. I think
Yeah.
like it's like, I mean, some people enjoy watching, especially because like I haven't watched
Guilty.
it fully. I haven't watched it fully, but the gore and violence was like,
Wait, I'm the only one who's seen it all?
yeah, I haven't watched all of it. I mean, like, and I did for a while felt like I wasn't a part of a movement because even on the website people were talking about it, and someone asked me to review it, and I was like, I don't have time to watch all of it.
I had so much FOMO.
Yeah, but then I saw how many people were
It's
watching.
really
it.
good.
Yeah, and then I saw how many people were actually watching it, and like, all the records it was breaking. And I just think it's a combination of like a lot of things. It's just, I think something like Parasite gave people were more willing to watch stuff like this.
Mhm.
And then I also think like with Britney, like you don't want to feel left out of the movement. Like it's a water cooler show, right? It's a show you talk about at work usually
Yeah.
with people like, "Oh, have you watched it yet?" And then when you
Mhm.
are left out of that, you're like, "Well, I guess we can't be friends."
And then you have to walk away because you don't want to hear spoilers, because that's the kind of show that has spoilers.
Mhm.
So
Do you guys ever get this feeling where you haven't necessarily watched something that's just like this, for example, you haven't seen Squid Game, but everyone likes it and everyone's seen it. Do you ever get a sense of, oh, I'm just kind of signing on for a movement if I do like it, or do you eventually enjoy it because it is good? I felt that with Squid Game. There was sort of a sense where I was like, am I liking this because it's popular, or do I like it because I like it? And
I think that means you're stubborn.
yeah, very much so. Very much so.
I'm sorry to diagnose you on this Zoom therapy session, but I think
No,
that
very much
actually
so.
means that you're a stubborn person.
Yep. Taurus.
Because you don't want to like feed into the narrative of like liking the show because everyone else likes it. But then what
Yeah.
if you actually do like it? Then you're like, well, I don't want to actually like it.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. And so I was just wondering if you felt that way.
I will
or
Venmo
maybe-
you for this session.
Maybe I'm the stubborn one. Yeah, let me know what your hourly rates are.
Um, well, it's kind of funny that because like this happens more with movies for me than TV shows, but like when something is like way overhyped and I'm late to the game, like usually I don't like it as much as everyone else did. Like I remember when like Napoleon Dynamite came out, I saw that later than everyone else after everyone told me it was the funniest movie ever. And then when I watched it, I felt like I wasn't in on some inside joke. I didn't understand why everyone was like saying it was so great. Same things happen with like movies like Boondock Saints, which is like a big cult kind of movie. Like people love that. I saw that really late too, and I just don't get it. And I guess like maybe that's why I haven't finished Squid Game, because like it's entertaining in the moment when I've seen. But I'm getting the vibe from everyone else. If that many people are watching it, you must think it's pretty fucking great. If you're,
I feel that same way about like Animal House. I remember I saw Animal House late and I was like, this movie's not good.
I love Animal House.
Oh man, I want to kick you off the gallery screen.
And then Owen was no longer on the podcast.
And then I was excluded from the pod.
But
No,
yeah, yeah.
I'm for 80s movies, so I think that's one of my favorites.
I just don't understand the point of Kevin Bacon's character. That's what pisses me off.
That's what pisses you off
We just
about
need-
the movie?
Just to start, just first initial thought off the head.
Like
That
that's such a
pissed me
minor
off.
role. Like
It's like a hot
Exactly.
take,
And
too,
then, but
when
they introduce him as like a character that's going to come back.
because you're not
and-
sexually attracted to him, Owen.
Who is?
A lot of people are.
Kevin Bacon?
Yeah. He was a heartthrob in the 80s.
Back in the day, I mean, like Footloose, and I mean, he was considered.
He looks
I mean,
like,
people were into him and John Travolta.
he
Like,
looked like if someone described what a human looked like to an alien and then they came out with that.
Sorry to anyone that's a fan.
wow. I'm DMing him.
Oh, what a hot take.
Another show that I thought was really good, very well done this year was I watched that in like 2 days. And that was another one. It was like 8 episodes and it was just like light. It was fun. It was hilarious. Like Mindy Kaling did such a good job. She really Mindy Kaling truly gets the next generation so well, like my generation and the next generation. And I think she does a really good job of portraying that on a TV show like that, where like it's not overly done, where it's like, oh my gosh, they're like, this was clearly made by an older woman or an older man talking about
There's no
writing
okay,
about
boomer.
younger women in college. Like she really got those characters and had some good writers on that show to help her. And it was so good.
That's awesome.
I don't know if you guys would relate to it as much, but it was a really good show.
I heard good things about it. I just haven't watched it.
Was that the first one that she wrote and produced her on her own?
She's the show creator of it.
Yeah, that's right.
And I think she helped with the writing, but I know that there were other writers attached to it as well.
Gotcha.
But I mean, it just follows the life of 4 college girls that are just figuring it out. It's like
Mhm.
coming of age, but they're also like, it's so relatable if you've ever been a freshman in college at a school where you don't have a lot of friends and you're just like trying to figure it out. And it's spot on.
Yeah,
I gotta check that out.
check it out.
I related a lot to it. So I'm sure other women did too, because it is one of the best shows that's been made this year.
Nice. Yeah, I gotta check that out.
I think it was just like a good last year, but most of this year especially was like a good year to launch a lot of these.
And
Yeah.
Timothy Chalamet's sister is in it.
I didn't
She's
even
like
know
the
he
main
was-
lead.
Oh, yeah,
Oh, really?
Yeah.
There's
Kim-
two Chalamet
She plays the character named Kim. I think her name's like Paulina or Paulette or something like that. But she's really good in it. She plays the main, like the lead girl, I guess. And I mean, when you see her face, you're like, oh yeah, that's Timothy Chalamet. They look identical.
Wait, you brought up White Lotus. Did you watch it?
I loved White
I
Lotus.
thought it was good too, and I'm actually happy they renewed it. It's gonna be like a different setting and stuff, but like I had a lot of fun and I love that cast. I thought that cast was really good. That's the only drawback to it being kind of like anthology style is I like would love to see all those people back, but like it's they said I think I forgot who they're gonna carry over. There's 1 or 2 people, but it's mostly gonna be like a new cast and new setting. But I loved it. I thought it was really good. And also easy to watch too. Like it was just a breeze. And then
I think also like having another anthology like type of show like that, you can watch any season like that
Hmm.
and jump right in, and you don't have to go back and watch the first season of it.
Yeah.
I think that's a really cool, like especially with like everyone at home watching stuff, you don't have to feel like you have to like go back to the beginning and watch.
It's like True Detective.
right.
Mhm.
Yeah. I think that there was a lot of really good like new shows for sure. But I think that the like extended seasons of like current shows that came out this year were really good too. My favorite probably so far was What We Do in the Shadows season 3. I think that if you guys haven't gotten a chance to watch that, you have to, because first of all, that movie is in general one of the best movies, one of the best indie like sort of dark comedies, and the show really takes it to a whole nother level, and it's so funny and so well done. and really just goes into all of the vampire and sort of that kind of style of those tropes. Oh, it's so good if you guys have a chance to watch it.
Yeah, I'm gonna check it out. I haven't seen it
Yeah.
yet.
Have you seen it, Gaius?
I haven't. I've heard, like, what's funny is that, like, I've heard so many good things about. I haven't even seen the movie, but I've heard,
Oh,
yeah, I've heard
you
so
have
many
to
good
see the
things
movie.
about it, and like I do want to watch it.
It's so good.
Add it to the list.
It's really
There's so
fun.
many things that I still need to
I
watch,
know. There's too many.
and there's a lot of stuff that has come out like with like at the end of the year, and I'm feeling a little overwhelmed. And I know there's like time off, but I guess this goes back to what we were saying at the beginning, where like if we have time after work, we can just watch something at home,
hmm
so we don't have to drive all the way to the theater, get a movie ticket. Because I mean, there's so many things. I just saw King Richard and Licorice Pizza like all in the same week, and it was just like
Nice.
a little overwhelming for me.
Yeah, and Don't Look Up just dropped on Netflix a couple days ago. I can't wait
I
to
also
see
watched that this
I
weekend.
have not. Don't spoil anything because I cannot wait to see it.
I watched it when I was deathly hungover on Sunday.
Nice. There you go.
Yeah, and also for TV series, it was like the year to bring back. It was like what's old is new again. Like they brought back Dexter,
Mm.
brought back Gossip Girl. They brought back Sex in the City. Head of the Class, where they just canceled. It was a sitcom from the 80s that they tried to launch again on Peacock. Poor Peacock.
Cowboy Bebop got canceled after one season too.
Yeah, that was crazy too. Like, it's
Wonder Years.
Oh, the Wonder Years. Yeah, the Wonder Years.
I like the one. I watched the first couple episodes of the Wonder Years, and I really liked it.
Yeah, and the crazy thing about the Wonder Years, network TV, it definitely doesn't pull in the numbers that it used to, and it's not like it's killing it in the ratings, but it was, like I said, one of ABC's like best launches for a series in that time slot in like a few years. So people love that factor too. They love stuff that's familiar. I watched most of the new Dexter. It's definitely better than the last season of Dexter. So there's that whole like making up for that kind of.
Don't spoil it yet.
Don't spoil it.
Okay.
And then I watched the new Gossip Girl. Like I remember I watched the pilot, and I was like, this is awful. They're trying way too hard. But if you get past the remaining episodes, once it kind of forms its own identity and isn't so obsessed with reminding you like, oh, we're connected to that show, it gets a lot better. And the
characters had to kind of throw in some old tie-ins, some inside jokes, and then
they tried too hard in the pilot, like to be like, oh, this is clearly the Chuck of the new show. This is clearly the Dan of the new show. Like once they kind of just let them breathe and like kind of be their own characters, it got a lot better. And then it got renewed, they got renewed for the second season. So also did very well on HBO Max. I don't know where that Sex in the City show. I mean, I know it's doing well for HBO Max, but I don't know what the fan reaction's been. I've looked at it on Twitter. That's all I can judge it on. It's been kind of mixed. I think
they'll get a couple of seasons out of it.
You think so? Yeah, they have so much.
Originally, Brittany, are you just like hate watching it basically?
I feel like you are.
I mean, after last week's episode, like how they wrote off Willie, oh my gosh, Stanford. They wrote him off this show because he died in real life, and the way that they wrote him off like really did him dirty, and I'm like completely over it now. I don't think I'll be watching it again.
Wow,
that's a hot take.
Yeah,
I mean,
I just think they're changing the characters. Like it's becoming, I know it's a new chapter, but it's just becoming a whole different show, and I'm not here for it.
Right.
I don't like the creative way that they're taking with it.
That's the risk of launching a show like that's familiar again, right? Like that, like you like something like that, because of things that are out of their control. There's no Samantha, right? Because they just don't get along, and there's that. And she was such an integral part of the original series. So now you have to figure out a way to kind of make up for her absence. Like, let's give them something that they can like just as much as her. I don't know if they've been successful in that regard. Like I said, the same thing with like Gossip Girl. Everyone's so familiar with like Blake Lively and Leighton Meester and all of them that it has to be hard to like launch it under this like, oh, it's like the same but different.
It's like the new show How I Met Your Father that's coming out with Hilary Duff. I saw a preview for it and I just cringed the whole time watching it because I don't know how they're going to really pull it off. And there's a lot of sort of, because that time frame that they did the show in was all talking about some older things where people didn't have the social media and communication. And so the first episode looks like, oh, she's having trouble with her Tinder dates. And I was like, I don't know if I even want to watch a show about this. Like, it just completely different on the levels of what those young adults are going through at the time. So I'm very interested to see, but
I think those shows really had like a small window where they did really well. It was like How I Met Your Mother, my Name is Earl, like all of these shows like did so well at the time that they were on. And I just don't know if they can really hit that sweet spot again, you know?
yeah.
It was it's interesting because I listened to they have a
Television.
Welcome to the OC Bitches, the podcast with Rachel Bilson and Melinda Clark, and they're rewatching the show and like talking about each episode and everything. And they brought an interesting thing about like the numbers from when they were on at the time at the height of their popularity. Like there was at one point, I think one of their episodes, I think it was the finale of season 1, was watched by 12 million people. And then that was such a huge vote of confidence in Fox that they were like, okay, we're going to move you from Wednesday where you have been killing it and put you on Thursday. And Thursday was back then like must-see TV night across most of the networks, but especially NBC and then I think it's CBS as well. They talked about how that even though it was still doing well, like in season 2, but it dropped to like 7 million viewers. And then they were saying now, like, now that doesn't even matter anymore. Like, it's just that, there was such a sweet spot for shows in that kind of hit and were successful. And then today, you don't even like some of those numbers don't even matter. Like maybe 2 million people are watching it live, but like 6 million people watch it in delayed viewing, either online or streaming it. And they were just talking about how like much of a difference it is now, like how to determine what a successful show is in 2021 compared to when they were on the air in like 2004.
Yeah.
Completely different landscape now.
The thing for a show right now that's makes it successful is everyone watches it and binges all of it at once, and you get it seen by 30 million people in 2 weeks, and then that's pretty much it. You got your view.
Yeah. So
speaking of that, like, what are you guys excited for next year? Like, are there TV shows or movies you guys are excited for next year?
Yes. So I actually have a list of stuff that I'm excited for next year. For TV shows, The Boys season 3 is coming out. Really excited for that. I know how you feel about superheroes, Brittany, but it's my favorite superhero show.
No, I do want to watch it.
Okay. Have you seen any of it?
No.
Okay, you should definitely start.
It's an anti-superhero show, though. That's what makes it so good.
Movies that I'm really excited for. I think The Black Phone. I'm really excited to see that. That's going to be really good. The Northman with, I think that's what it's called, with Alexander Skarsgård.
Yeah.
And then hold on, I had one more that I was excited for. Besides all of the Marvel stuff that I know is going to be good. But hold on 1 second. I think that it was someone else can go while I'm
speaking of the Black Phone, actually I saw that at Beyond Fest when did I do that? In October.
Oh, you saw it already?
Yeah. They screened it early and it was so good. And it was supposed to come out in like January or February. And they were actually sending us information to Joe Blow about getting ready to do like the press junket. And they moved it, I think 2 weeks ago to June. I'm bummed out because I want everyone to see it. It's really scary and it's really good. And Ethan Hawke is scary as fucking. I've never seen him play anyone like that before.
He's an intense actor.
But yeah, you can tell that they know that they have a good movie, because usually when you like see something early, they're like, oh, don't review it. It's under embargo. You can't talk about it. After that festival was over, they were like, you can post a review whenever you want. Like you can do it tomorrow. And like I know, like I looked on Rotten Tomatoes and like all the early reviews it has like a 94% out of all the early reviews.
I think the premise looks really scary and really good.
It's so
the last one that I was excited for is the new Jackass movie.
Yes, I'm excited for that too.
That's just gonna be nostalgia, and
I need it to be in 3D though.
I just thought it was so. I think I read an article right when they started filming it, and within the first 2 weeks, I think hospital twice already because they're all in their 40s.
They're all old.
50s. They're all
They're all
old. so-
old.
There's like a feeling that I get from like hearing that Jackass theme song. It's like because my brother was and like we used to like try and recreate a lot of, even though it says you're not supposed to, but we used to try and recreate a lot of that stuff growing up, and I was always like the videographer because that's just like who I am as a person. But so hearing that like theme song has like a strong reaction for my senses.
Mhm. I just think it's so awesome how MTV launched them from being idiots who ride a shopping cart off of a roof to them actually creating and being able to put together these really,
think-
really wild sort of things that like just big stunts. And
I think that movie is going to do really well in theaters because it has such a strong, like such a huge audience of people. And it's like normal people that don't actually go see a movie. They're going to go out and see that movie because it's like nostalgic.
Yeah.
well,
So
because Jackass was it 3 that grossed a lot of money when Jackass
I
3D
think the
came
third
out.
one had the biggest opening weekend for an R-rated movie.
It was Jackass 3D. I saw it at
Yeah.
midnight.
Yeah, I did. So Jackass hits that like sweet spot of like it can skew really young, but it's also like a lot of people who grew up with it like it too. So like I think that is something that will do really well in
People are going to be taking their kids to see it. That like,
Yeah,
I know
because I
people
think
that
the third one came out in what, 2010, 2011.
it was a long time ago.
Yeah. I know
Yeah.
people-
I also think now that, well, since Bam Margera, he's gone off the rails and he's no longer a part. Like I think they all have restraining orders against him.
He's trying to get
but-
the not be made and or not released. Like
Yeah, but I think they're adding some younger. Like I think MGK is in it for a little bit. Like he does a few stunts, so they're trying to probably bring in like a
younger
new
crowd.
crowd of the audience, like a little bit of the younger crew.
Yeah.
But then still keeping the same. Like I really hope they have the hair buzzer and they go back and buzz some people's hair.
Old school.
Well, I'm really
Love
excited for the new Elvis movie with Tom Hanks because that was like kind of what started the whole coronavirus thing. I don't know if you guys remember. That's when like we all thought Tom Hanks was gonna die from COVID, like
And he's
in
like, "I'm
Australia.
fine."
I think that's gonna be a really good one. And I'm excited for Where the Crawdads Sing because that's one of my favorite books. And it's coming out July. It's
I think
coming out
it's
in July,
June.
starring Daisy Edgar Jones.
Yep.
Who is like exactly who I imagined in that movie when I read the book. So I'm excited about it. And I'm also excited I have 2 more. I have Don't Worry, Darling, which is Olivia Wilde's new movie. I've seen quite a few, going back to the blinds that I read, I've seen quite a few blinds about this movie. I mean, it pretty much ended her marriage with Jason Sudeikis.
I always liked them as a couple.
I know it started her affair with Harry Styles, but I've heard some.
Wait, she cheated on him?
I mean,
I don't know.
it's all speculation.
Yeah, it's a little murky.
Olivia, you lost some points.
Yeah, but I mean, we don't know. It's all speculation. But yeah, there's been a lot of blinds about that movie and about the making of it that just kind of draws attention around the movie. And then there's another one, I think it's called She Said, and it's about like the Harvey Weinstein. It's gonna
Carey
be like,
Mulligan.
yeah, Carey Mulligan's in it. And I've heard good things about that so far. So yeah, Zoe Kazan and Carey Mulligan investigating the Harvey Weinstein sexual misconduct. So I think that'll be another one like Bombshell, where it's like an expose.
That was so good.
I
Yeah.
love Bombshell.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Dave, you excited for Avatar 2?
No, I'm careless. It's been so, like I didn't even like the first one that much, and then like there's been this long wait.
Of course you didn't.
No, there's been this long wait for this sequel, and I'm just like I don't care. I miss James Cameron making like other stuff. He's dedicated, I guess, the rest of his life to just making Avatar sequels, and
He wants to be the next J.R.R. Tolkien. Like he wrote his own language and stuff. Like, dude, you need to relax.
yeah, like calm the fuck Well, I'm excited.
After they said unobtainium, I was like, you know what? I'm
I'm
not
out.
interested.
After his wife won or his ex-wife won an Oscar over him, I'm not team James Cameron
Yeah.
anymore.
I'm excited for, well, Euphoria season 2 starts January 9th, so that's early. I'm excited for that. Um, the new Scream comes out January 14th. That's gonna be a good sweet spot, 2 weeks for me.
Hmm.
I hate to bring up, I mean, there is a ton of Marvel stuff coming out next year, but I'm excited for it. I mean, I think out of all of them, I think the Doctor Strange sequel
Yeah.
has my attention just because I think it's gonna be visually really unique and different. Um, and uh, Thor as
Yeah.
well would be, and because I'm interested to see how they're going to use Natalie Portman, because she's going to be, the female version of Thor in this one. I think that's a lot of the reason why she decided to come back for this movie, because she just didn't want to be like the girlfriend, and
Mhm.
and I'm excited to see what they kind of do with her and with that. And after Thor Ragnarok, I hope they
I was gonna say the same thing.
a little
The
bit.
first two Thors were terrible, but after the success of Ragnarok, I'm really excited for this one.
Yeah. I'm excited for the Batman.
Mhm.
Just because I think it's going to be like they're taking it back to the kind of similar roots to what they did with like Batman Begins and The Dark Knight. But
That's
even
why I'm excited for
yeah,
it.
Matt
I
Reeves
love
is
that
the
Batman, the
detective,
dark Batman.
Mhm.
and they released a new trailer today that makes it look even more like amazing. Like
Oh, nice! I haven't seen it yet. I gotta check that out.
really good.
And Zoe Kravitz is
Amazing.
amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they've been splashing her all over the marketing. I was like, there's other villains in it, but I mean, like, yeah, she's a good selling point.
They haven't shown the Riddler's face, so I wonder who that's gonna be, unless they did in this new
Well,
trailer.
like the Paul Dano's playing him. I don't even recognize. He's doing something with his voice.
He is unrecognizable. That's why you
I didn't even
didn't.
recognize his voice. I didn't like. I was like,
Yeah.
he
Wait,
sounds
who's playing him?
Paul Dano. He's like, what has he been in?
He
Like
was
he's
in No
all-
Country for Old
Oh
Men.
man, yeah, he's in that. Yeah, like
Little Miss Sunshine. He plays the brother who's like mute.
yeah, yeah. I'm excited for it. Like just the
Okay.
You know who he is, Owen. You've
Yeah,
seen
I
him.
just looked him up. He's got that very punchable face.
very punchable face. I just hope that it kind of. I mean, I guess it doesn't have much to like kind of live up to, right? Because what came before this one have been like it was like what Batman versus Superman. That's in Justice League. That's the last time we've seen Batman on the big screen. So it really only has.
Sorry, he's in There Will Be Blood, not No Country for Old Men. Sorry.
Yeah, that's
Quick.
why it threw me off. He's in. Yeah,
I know.
He's the,
I get those two movies mixed
he's
up.
the preacher, and he was also in Looper. He's the one that sells his buddy out.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. And it's also gonna be a good year for horror movies too. I already mentioned Scream. Halloween Ends comes out in October. I'll be happy to see how that trilogy.
Wait, so they're doing two Halloween movies back to back years?
Yeah, so the original plan was to film them both at the same time and release one in 2020, and then the other one was going to be released in 2021. And then like they already finished, like Halloween Kills was already done, but then COVID happened and they pushed the release date back and then delayed it until 2021, and then delayed shooting of Halloween Ends until actually January of this year. But they said it will be still ready for release in October of 2022.
Cool.
Oh, and then there's Jordan Peele's making another horror movie. Don't know what it's about. It's called Nope. That's all I know.
You guys like
there's
what
a
was his last
poster.
one? Us?
Yeah, it's the first one since then. There's a poster for it. There's like a weird like cloud thing in the sky that looks ominous, and a kite.
I mean, I think Get Out was Get Out was better than Us. I was disappointed.
Disappointed with Us.
I think
I thought the
yeah,
whole-
I still thought Us was good though. Like I mean, compared to like most horror movies that kind of come out, I thought it was. I don't think it. I think the main problem is that it didn't completely stick the landing at the end.
Well, the whole like underground world where they're kind of doing the same thing as they are up above, that didn't work for me.
At all.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm excited for anything he does. I still think he's an innovative voice. I think for the genre.
Completely agree. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
really excited to see what he does next. Not every
He's
director can hit the ball out of the park every single time.
he's definitely falling into like an altruistic director where they do like an M. Night Shyamalan type where it's like the formula that they're gonna play into every time that they make a movie, and it's like you kind of have to go in expecting that. Wes Craven's like you go in expecting that same like formula, and you're either happy or not happy with the result.
Yeah.
He's like Shyamalan too, in the whole like like very mysterious marketing campaign, because there's nothing really like when Us first had trailers and stuff, like it was like, well, what is this about? And then like Nope hasn't even had a trailer yet. It's just been a poster. The poster got shared a lot. People were like, I'm just so excited. And then there's no indication of like what it might be about. But I think it's just because people are just excited for.
He likes to keep it that way.
Yeah. I'm also excited for Top Gun Maverick. I was really disappointed when it got moved around a lot because of COVID last year. And then I was like, okay, it's finally going to come out in 2021. And they were like, no, we're just going to move it all the way to 2022.
Is that the one that Tom Cruise yelled at his staff for with the masks?
No, that was on Mission Impossible. The newest one. They weren't wearing the mask while they're like, I guess I don't know what was going on, but he yelled at them and then someone recorded it.
Yeah, that was funny.
Dad got mad.
I'm not
Brittany, have you not heard the recording? It's actually really funny.
No, I have.
It's pretty funny.
It
The only
is really
drawback to Top Gun is that Miles Teller is in it, but I can deal with like everyone. Which is, yeah. What can you do?
So he was in the video for Taylor Swift that she released, and people were like hating on him for being in this video. And it's like him and his actual wife were in the video, and he finally had to come out and say like, guys, I'm vaccinated. Like, you can watch the video. I promise I'm vaccinated. People were like not wanting to watch it because I guess he's like anti-vax, or he was anti, I don't know. Yeah. But he had to finally come out and be like, guys, I got the vaccine. Like, he posted a picture of him getting the vaccine.
Oh my God, that's so funny. He was getting hated on.
They were
all
really
haters.
They were trashing him hard on Twitter. Because there was that rumor that he didn't want to get vaccinated, and then he went to go do that Godfather, that show about the making of the Godfather. And apparently he tested positive, and they had to like shut down for 2 weeks. And everyone was like, well, I think he's not back. Like, he has made a stance that he didn't want to get it. But I guess whether that's true or he changed his mind, he eventually did get vaccinated, so and had to tell everyone so they wouldn't, all Taylor Swift fans wouldn't hate him forever.
Yeah.
But
people have already kind of been bold.
Yeah. I do want to point out something that happened this year that I thought was really good. I thought that Scarlett Johansson making her lawsuit against Disney regarding Black Widow like a public thing was like the best thing that she could possibly do for other people in the industry that might have been in a similar situation as her, where you're promised one thing as an actress and a producer. This is what you're going to get. You know, we're promising you a percentage of box office, and then things have to like pivot. And I know it's because of COVID and like they have to change the release strategy, but they kind of did it behind her back a little bit. And we're like, oh yeah, we're going to release it on Disney Plus for a premium price, and then also release it in theaters. It's like basically the same. You're going to get the same amount of money. And she knew as like a producer on that movie that would not be the case.
Yeah.
I remember when the story came out, like Disney's response to it was like pretty childish. Like first of all, they called her out by saying, well, she already made $20 million. Like, they released what she made, her paycheck basically. And
which
then
is super not cool.
It implied that she was being insensitive for like the people who like can't go to the movies because they're afraid because of COVID. And they use that
should
as
have
like
drawn up a new contract. That's all they should have done.
Yeah, exactly. And some people were like, well, she shouldn't have played it out in public, but I think that was the best thing to do. I think that she was like, no, I'm not gonna. I kind of figured, and I'm not even saying this as like, I don't know if I can speak on it because I'm a man, but like I think if it was Chris Evans or Chris Hemsworth, like this wouldn't have happened. I think like doing that to her was very easy.
Well, they released Shang-Chi in theaters.
Yeah, so they could have done that with Black Widow, and it was only like 12 months apart.
And I think this is also interesting because people were like, oh, she's just like cranky. And like that was a very like misogynistic way of like viewing the situation, when there have been actors in the past that have also sued their production company for similar things before someone else Hansen to run. She didn't just like pop this up out of nowhere. Like, it was definitely something that it was worth fighting for. And I mean, Kevin Costner sued the production company over Robin Hood for royalties, and Mel Gibson, I think, also sued his production company for royalties. I mean, this isn't the first time that we've seen someone do this. It's just the first time a woman has. So, and they definitely blew it way up, and for a good reason.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
they
completely
tried to
agree.
drag her. I mean, they really tried to drag her to make her look bad. I mean, I kept wondering, like, I was like, who wrote that statement from Disney? Because it was like it came off so childish and just like, well, here's what we're gonna do. Like it, they like basically publicly shamed her and
I
basically
just feel
got paid enough already.
I
And like,
feel bad
luckily
for
it
her.
wasn't, she didn't really care about her public image. She cared about the money. So it really,
Mhm.
she was like, okay, say whatever you want to say. I'm still suing your ass. Like,
I feel bad for anyone that has to go up against Disney's lawyers. I feel really bad
I
for that.
imagine they're just very scary. I don't know what
Yeah.
it might look like. But I feel like they, yeah, I wouldn't want to go up against them either. But kudos to her for doing it because like
Yeah.
she ended up winning in the end. Like
yeah, and she won. So
they settled it,
clearly they fucked up somewhere.
and and they had to fix it because she was still making. She's a producer on like they're doing a Tower of Terror, and she's a producer on it. So they had to make that work again. And Kevin Feige, she got an award like a month or two ago, and he said he's developing like behind the scenes like Marvel stuff with her, not necessarily where she's on screen, but as a producer. So she's very much still going to be in the Disney family, and I think like everyone else is probably like, you guys need to fix this because like she's a part of it no matter what, and we can't like I don't know, it came off a little disrespectful to kind of do that to her, and I'm glad she stood her ground though because I thought that was pretty important for her to do,
Yeah.
very necessary, and I think it kind of shows other actresses too, like if they're in a similar situation, that they can kind of stand up and like it's about knowing your worth, and I think she knew
Mhm.
hers. She was a producer on it. She knew exactly
She's been
what.
there since day one. She was in Iron Man 2.
Right. So yeah, and also putting in the work, right? So she's been there forever.
Yeah, it was a slap in the face.
Yeah, it's like it
Yeah.
was a slap in the face to kind of be like, we're not really going to discuss this new deal with you. It's just like, here, accept it. And she's like, no, she deserves. And actually, all these deals kind of happen behind the scenes too, even with like HBO Max. And I know the Doomcast had to rework all their contracts because they were also promised a piece of box office, and that changes when it's also a streaming release too.
Yeah.
None of those went public because I guess they didn't get nasty behind the scenes. This one got nasty, and and she came out on top. So good for her. I thought that was
Yeah.
good.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I guess like one of the last things that this is always gonna kind of pop up. There were parts of cancel culture that were pretty big in 2021. It happened with like Army Hammer. That was
The cannibal.
you know
And that wasn't sexual. I mean, that wasn't like a sexual allegation. That was like he's eating humans.
he's like
Like,
he wants to eat your heart.
he's like a monster. Yeah.
But it cost him a lot of work. He lost a lot of high profile jobs. He was supposed to be in this movie called Shotgun Wedding with Jennifer Lopez. They dropped him for that. He got replaced with Josh Duhamel. He was supposed to be on the Godfather series, The Offer. He got replaced by.
I mean, if you're getting replaced by Josh Duhamel,
I know
you need to look inward.
Like I feel bad because Josh Duhamel, like he works, but like he's like less than Army Hammer, right? Like,
He's great at rom-coms. He'll do great in that movie.
Yeah. It also, they attempted it with Dave Chappelle and it didn't really fly. And then we are seeing it now a bit with like Chris Noth almost got through the whole year without getting part of the list, but he is too. I mean, like I just wonder if like the tide's kind of changing on it because you have the example with Army Hammer, and even though he said he's like getting help and he's in rehab for whatever it is, like
Rehab for cannibalism. I wonder what rehab he's at
I
right
think it's like
Yeah, where is that at?
I think it's like alcohol and like
Canada?
I think it's like alcohol and sex addiction or something, and like so he can get help, right? It happened with Shia LaBeouf too, right? He all came out with like his ex-girlfriend saying that he was physically abusive towards her. I think there's a subsection of the world that roots for him because they know like he's been through a lot growing up.
I'm rooting for him,
he has
especially after seeing Honey Boy.
Yeah.
He's
And then like Dave Chappelle was able to block it. I don't know if it's because he's a comedian and it's easier to kind
He
of be
just
like,
doesn't give a fuck though.
Okay, so I have like one thing I need to say about Dave Chappelle, and because I did try and watch his stand-up and I actually ended up turning it off. And you know what? That's it. I turned it off. I didn't enjoy it. I didn't think it was funny. I turned it off. Um, anyone can do that. I don't think we need to cancel him necessarily because I don't think he's going to change. Dave Chappelle will always be Dave Chappelle. He's done this in the past and he's going to do it going forward. But his comedy is no longer for me. I'm no longer his audience, and I turned it off.
It's interesting.
It was that simple. I mean, I watched something else.
Yeah, that's a good example though, because like you can do that without making a big hoopla about it, right? I mean, you can be offended and just be like, okay, I'm not going to support him anymore.
You're like, that's frustrating towards me, but you know what? That's him.
And honestly, like it wasn't even that I was offended. I just didn't think that it was funny to me. Right. So, and he's supposed to be a comedian. And if I watched the first 15, 20 minutes and I wasn't laughing, I'm not going to watch it.
Yeah.
Regardless of whatever the content was, he's supposed to be doing a job where he's supposed to be making me laugh and he wasn't making me laugh. So I had to turn on something that would make me laugh.
Right.
Wow. Shots fired at Dave Chappelle.
Well, I mean, I agree.
I think he shot first.
Yeah. I agree with her though, because like everything doesn't have to be like a public stoning, like every time you're triggered by something. And I also think it's like a case by case kind of scenario. Like Dave Chappelle, like a lot of people say that comedians they kind of get a pass with some of this stuff because that's just a part of the work, a part of the job. And I think other comedians would support that. So I think like it has to be kind of case by case. You can't really lump everyone into one cancel culture box, I guess.
Yeah. Should have been as simple as I didn't like it, so I decided to watch something else.
Yeah.
Thanks.
You know, someone like Armie Hammer, like, you know, I know that they're having a difficult time promoting Death on the Nile because he is, even though it's a huge ensemble cast, he's the male lead paired with Gal Gadot. They released a trailer for it. He's in it, but you could tell they were like just cut around him a lot. And he is he is in the poster. Like they're not trying to hide that he's in it. But I know when it comes to like, they're going to have to market it in February. Like he likely won't be a part of that unless there's some big change in the next couple months. But it's like once he kind of comes out and apologizes or says, I got help, I did this, I did that. Do you feel comfortable being like, all right, I would want to see him in the movie again. I want to see him in a project again. Like, are you open to like, you know, him kind of coming back? Or is it like, no, you're done. I know too much and I don't, support that.
Yeah, because I mean, the movie isn't about him being a cannibal. It's about, I mean, he's playing a part where he's acting, and I think I'm able to separate the fact that he is playing a role where he's actually probably a better person than he actually is in real life. So I think it'll be fine with me to watch something. I mean, he's already made money off of this. It doesn't him or not. I don't think that monetizing it is really the factor, but I do think I'm able to separate that like a character, whereas like a comedian, Dave Chappelle is Dave Chappelle. But if you're an actor, you're acting as a normal person, whereas he's not in real life.
That's true. And like to be fair, the movie was shot like well before these things came out. It was supposed to come out. It would have if it had its original date, it would have came out way before these things came out. You know, like I said, I mean, like I guess like someone like Harvey Weinstein, I would never. He could tell us how rehabilitated he was, and I just wouldn't buy it. I wouldn't want to support anything I know, right?
There's not much gray area there.
Yeah, there's no gray area there. And
but then there's someone like Woody Allen who makes a movie about being like a fucking creep, and he is the creep. He puts himself in the role as the creep. Yeah. So then it's like, and you're directing a movie about you being interested in a very younger woman, which is exactly what you are. You're a predator. So that I have a hard time like separating. You know,
yeah. Like a biopic of himself.
Like if Armie Hammer, I
love that.
Armie, what did I say? Armie Hammer. If he was starring in a movie that he wrote and directed about him being a cannibal, I would not be able to watch that.
He wrote Jennifer's Body.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, so there is kind of hope for certain people that kind of they don't have to be written off forever.
Hmm.
And it's really dangerous too, because like I just wonder if other celebrities, when this happens, are they like, need to go back and look at my Twitter, check my phone.
I
Is
bet
there
they've
anything
already
out
done it.
there?
They've already done that.
There's people in Hollywood that are paid to just like go through people's social medias, like
Yeah.
phones, iClouds.
Yeah. But I think 2021 had, I mean, I'm really excited to see what happens in 2022 news related, just because there was a lot of stuff that went down. We had pretty much good news topics for, and we started late in the year. We had a lot of good topics to cover throughout this last year. And
Mhm.
I think 2021's been really good start for us. And I can't wait for us to continue into 2022 and see where everything takes off. And just want to thank everyone out there for listening. It's been awesome so far. And we love that we're closing out the year with you guys.
Yeah, and I'm happy that like the industry is kind of recovering, and like we'll have a lot of things to talk about next year. Like to watch like movies reopen again, and like like getting excited when A Quiet Place Part 2 opened to $49 million. That wouldn't happen any other year, but it was like, okay, this is gonna work again. Like people are gonna go support movies, and like they've kind of proven that with certain things that have come out this year, ending it in a big way with Spider-Man. And I kind of hope that continues with like stuff next year. And I also hope people are just open next year to like smaller things, like watching it on streaming. Like if you can't really, it's okay to like support it on streaming. And also it's okay for studios, if you have a mid-budget movie that you think is not going to play well in theaters, like it's okay to sell it to streaming. Like it will get noticed, and it might get more noticed than it would if you try to release it theatrically. I just hope they're smart next year about what they're releasing and how they're releasing it. I think they learned a lot between 2020 and this year.
Mhm.
So I'm hoping that's the case for 2022.
Yeah, no, I totally agree.
That's
I mean,
kinda-
I'm excited every year to see what's
Yeah.
coming.
Yeah. We got a lot of good stuff next year, guys.
Yeah. And
Uh,
technology is ever so changing. So
I know.
who knows what next year is gonna
Choose your own
bring us.
adventure when you want to watch something. Like, do I feel like going to the movies, or can I just watch this at home? Or am
I mean, I just got a projector, so I'm pretty
Nice.
set in my living
Yeah,
room.
you guys should see how kind of ghetto rigged is set up. Our friend Vinny made fun of it when we were. I don't know if you heard him, but he was there.
No, I know it's a work in progress. Okay, everyone, calm down.
It'll
Just
get there.
sitting on the box that I thought I was going to knock over and break your projector, and then kicked out because I broke it.
You would get kicked out.
But yeah, before we wrap up, I do want to point out we're on the Good Pods HQ app, which I found out about on Twitter from all the Twitter groups that were sharing. They're actually sharing our page through that initially. I didn't even know about it, and they were like, "Yeah, you need to sign up because like someone has been sharing your page on it, and you need to claim your podcast." So I did that, and the cool thing about the platform is that you can discover us on like Apple and Spotify and all that stuff, and those are great. You should listen to it wherever you can. But the good thing about the Good Pods app is that it's for indie podcasts, and they don't have like like a ton of financial backing to like promote. And it's just another vehicle to get discovered. And you have similar podcasts that are like rating you and reviewing you, and also sharing it with others that are in your niche, basically. So we are in the film and like TV review chart, and like each week we've climbed up the chart. Like each week, I think when the first time I looked at it, we were in the I don't know if the first time I showed you we were in the 20s, and then it was the low teens. It was like 14 or 13, and then it went up to number 7, and then this past over the weekend we hit number 2.
Silver. Let's go.
And we're actually in great company, because I've actually listened to some of the other podcasts on that list, and they are all very good. I've talked to a lot of them on Twitter, and like they're all very supportive. Everyone kind of wants to link up and work on things, and it's a really cool like spot to kind of meet other people that are doing what we're doing. And a lot of them are doing it for fun, but they're learning that they're developing a organic following on there that's kind of carrying over to other platforms as well. So however that's happening, whether you're sharing it on that or listening on Apple or Spotify, however you're listening to us, just want to thank you guys, because it's really cool to see like being number 2 on a top 100 list. So it's awesome.
Yeah, thanks for listening to us just chatter about random
Yeah, I
movie
can't
shit.
believe people actually want to hear what we have to say.
No,
Yeah.
no, that was my big takeaway from it. I was like, you guys actually care. So it's cool. And it only makes us want to work harder. It's not like that we need to be number one or like that needs to happen.
I do.
It kind of makes you know that you're putting. You said I do, but it shows that we're putting in good work and it's paying off. So thank you so much. It's been awesome. I know we haven't been doing this all year. We got started in November.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, what 2022 means to me is that we'll be able to have a full year to kind of develop this show even more and expand on it and add new things to it. If you guys have any suggestions on things we should do, like when you review us, like let us know. DM us on Instagram or Twitter, or anywhere you want to talk, because like we are open to ideas and
Let us know what you want us to talk about.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun doing this into the new year. I'm so excited. I'm so excited to close it out with you guys. It's been so much fun.
Yeah, thanks for a good year, guys.
Forever, but it's not forever. It's just a week. But this is our last show of the year, and I'm glad we're finishing off strong. And you guys are awesome. And thank you two also for your help doing
This year has been great because you were both in it.
Aww.
All right, let's end on that sappy little note.
Don't cry.
All right, so Owen's gonna sign us off for like the final time of 2021, and then
Wow, I have the honor. Yeah, guys, just want to say thank you for listening to us. We always enjoy doing this. That's one of the things that we love to do. I mean, two of us work in the industry, and that's their livelihood, and I am just here along for the ride because it's something that I love to watch and talk about. And just want to say thank you to anyone who's listening for really just tuning in and having to hear our opinions, because this is something that we like to do. And you can find us literally anywhere that there's a podcast. Back to the Blockbuster, we're a playlist original. Like I always say, you can watch us on YouTube if you'd like. You can see all of Gaius's really cool movie posters in the background. I would say they're all Halloween. There's a few that aren't Halloween, but there's a lot of Halloween in the back. But yeah, I just want to say thanks for a great 2021, guys. I know we started a little late, but can't wait to see what 2022 has to offer. And we're gonna have a lot of good content coming your guys' way. It's gonna be great, and I think a lot more guests are gonna come on. Would love to hear what anyone has to say, if they'd like suggestions on things for us to review or little specials that we might be able to do. Please just continue to listen, because we like doing this and we're going to keep getting after it.
Yep, that's a good way to end it on, man. Thank you.
Thanks,
so much.
everyone.
Yeah, thanks, guys. And also thank you guys. Thanks for being a part of this.
Yeah, and Happy New Year, everyone. Wishing
Happy
you
New
all
Year.
the blessings.
Happy New Year.
Year.